Hello and welcome to the Backside Dig. I am your host, Tyler DeSena, and today we have a very special guest. It is Northwood defensive back, Stephen Douglas. Stephen, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic, especially because I've got some questions to ask you. Obviously, want to talk about your journey here, but I just want to start off with what's the postseason kind of routine been like for you? What have you found yourself doing? What's the workout plan looking like? How have you been prepping yourself for hopefully the next level?
So currently right now I'm residing in Novi, Michigan. I've been fortunate enough to stay with an alumni from Northwood. He's let me stay with his family, so I'm really happy about that. Super thankful. And I'm currently training at Impact Sports Performance down here in Novi with Jim Kalesbo and the rest of the staff. And that's pretty much every day from 9:30 to 2. I'm there. We work on specific stuff in the morning, so like combine drills wise, stuff like that. And then we have our lift afterwards. And then always doing recovery work, just trying to keep the body fresh and get myself back to 100%.
Awesome. And then when you're winding down those days, you say, ends at 2, kind of that workout. What's been the leisure activities? You've been hanging out, watching things. What's been
So currently, like I'm a very big routine and structure guy. So I always get back, I eat first, shower, take my creatine, and then I still have two classes I'm doing this semester online. So I usually got schoolwork from 4 to 6. Then I eat dinner, ice, hot bath, and then stretch again, and then get in bed. I've been watching Avatar: The Last Airbender the past couple of nights, so that's kind of it. Then in bed at 9:30, to get my 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Obviously, putting in a lot of work. And I wanted to kind of talk to you about that because obviously, coming from a smaller school, a D2 school, a big thing that's going to have to stand out for you is that athletic profile. And, I see like scrolling through your Twitter, like seeing like you posting or even Northwood posting your benchmarks in certain lifts or athletic feats. And I have your 40 vertical jump, your clean 225 bench reps, like all of it's like filtered out into graphics. How important was it to you to kind of focus on that athletic training, knowing that coming from a smaller school, smaller program, that's going to be the number one way people see you is through that athleticism?
No, for sure. Coming from a small school, like especially like going at our pro days, like what we've been told, leading up to is like you can't be messing up these drills. Like they don't want to see you because you're coming from a small school. So they're already expecting you to mess up on a drill, not do too hot against, big D1 guys and stuff like that. So what I've been told is just like you have to pop off the page with all those numbers with whether it be, your 40-yard dash, vertical, anything like that, and just stand out amongst, the crowd, especially coming from a smaller school. So that's what I try to pride myself on, just try to work my butt off to get those crazy numbers to pop out the page for the scouts.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, you can see like the 2023 to 2024 numbers. Like I know they're posted, but is there any lifting feats you've been proud of lately? Like kind of a big milestone for you?
I would just say finally getting pain free because this past season I was injured. Obviously, I only played the first 4 games, so I finally last week I finally got my first session of like pain free and just feeling like myself again, being able to get to that like extra gear that I have. So I'm just thankful to be back to the normal me, I should say.
Yeah, of course.
More recently.
So what was that injury rehab kind of like?
Oh, it sucked. I'll be honest. It was the worst. I wish this on no one because I so injured my groin and my abs too. I had surgery. And I don't think people realize how much you use your core for in just everyday activity, just like simply like getting up from bed or like just breathing in general. So just had surgery, just been rehabbing my butt off, obviously training down here, and everything is on the come up for sure.
Yeah. I mean, obviously start, minor setback to a major comeback. Now you're kind of working on refining everything. Like you said, kind of working on these drills for these pro days, working out. Great to see. But you didn't start at a D2 program. You started at a D3 program.
Yes,
so I was
sir.
wondering what was the kind of transition like, but also, how was it kind of transitioning schools, working your way up, and now hopefully being on the eyes of more people?
So come from a small high school, like first getting to Albion, I just got there because my high school coach was roommates with one of the Albion coaches when they were both in college at Central. So that was my hookup. I wanted to go out of state anyway, so it worked out, me coming out to Michigan. And then after the 2022 season, my head coach Dustin Buer and DC Justin Sweeney went to Northwood, and I was like, you know what, like let's just do it. Let's enter the portal. They offered me to come, follow them, and that was the best decision ever. Like especially getting there to Northwood, all the guys like, how do you like Coach B? How do you like Coach C? And it's like, well, I obviously love them enough to like, pick up my whole life, transfer schools, school and football wise, stuff like that. So I would say the biggest difference, like, obviously leaving all your friends, it sucks, but, it was a decision I wanted to make to just move up in the football world.
Yeah. And I mean, what is that relationship? I know you said it's great, but what is that relationship like now with those coaches that you're kind of transitioning on from being a college athlete? Have you been in touch with them? What's it been like?
So yeah, no, I talk to them a lot. They always ask how everything's going update wise. Like I've been really close to Coach Sweeney over the years, and just being able to like call him and talk to him about like not just about football but life in general, just what to expect and what mindset you need for anything. And they're always like there to reach out. They're some of the greatest coaches I've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously extremely important, for someone, any school, doesn't matter, just like coming up, having that support system and hearing about that from, being able to, even though you don't necessarily have the school continuity over your years, being able to have some coaching continuity and those guys, being able to follow them over there and have people that were invested in your development is awesome. And I kind of want to go and ask one quick question about before that, because I looked at your Albion, profile because it's still up on the site, and I saw that you were a 3-sport athlete. I was wondering what sports you played in high school, and was football always the number one, or did it kind of switch over time?
Yeah, so in high school, I played football, basketball, rugby, and then my final year I ran track, which got cut short because of COVID. So didn't really get into that world, but I mean, basketball happened just my freshman year. Coach Jonathan Shipley, he was like, they needed guys on the basketball team, for level 3 and JV. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like I've never played before, but I'll do it. And so got into that for a little bit. Rugby, I've been playing since 4th grade. Yeah. So loved rugby. My dad got me into that. I think it's great for everyone to play, especially like tackling techniques wise. It transfers over to football perfectly. And then I would say football wise, like I didn't get my real taste of football till high school. I played flag football growing up. I played 1 year of tackle football, and just finally being able to I've always wanted to play in the NFL. That's every little kid's dream, but I've just been set on that and just trying to make it happen.
Yeah. So like ever since you kind of set foot on that football field, that was kind of when it became set in stone. That was the journey.
I mean, I always wanted to play football. I had my mom drop me off at the middle school or high school. Over the summers, I'd be on YouTube looking up videos for DB stuff or receiver stuff, and just waiting for my chance to finally get into that big football world in high school. And it's thankfully paid off.
And mentioning receiver stuff, did you play a little bit of receiver in high school too, or?
Yeah, everyone at our school played both ways except for quarterback. So coming from a small school, that's kind of how it is, and I loved it. Obviously, especially coming to college and only having to focus on one position it's life changing. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I was saying, obviously, I mean, you kind of get a taste of, both sides and being able to understand what you're going against every day, and not necessarily just, playing one side your entire life. It's, not something a lot of people have experience with, but obviously you said
it helps make you a better athlete for sure, especially playing multiple sports.
Mm-hmm. And, I got to ask, because, basketball, a sport I play a lot in my free time. I got to ask, do you play a little bit in your free time kind of pickup? And if so, we need a player on the basketball court.
I haven't played organized basketball since high school. It's been I'll play, shoot around, play horse with my friends every now and then. But, with the injuries that come with it, rolling your ankle or something like that, I've tried to stay away from it. So I would say when I played, I was a defensive player. I'm going to orchestrate and pass the ball.
No, I get that. And trust me, I also understand the injury part. Playing rec basketball, it won't just be the rolling ankles. It'll be you're driving to the basket and you just get shoved,
Exactly. All those competitive juices get flowing and you just start going all out.
Yeah. And sometimes the scariest thing is seeing somebody who's wearing a high school football shirt when you're playing basketball recreationally.
No, sure, yeah.
Because you're oh no, I'm getting tackled.
That's definitely happened in my time playing basketball.
Nah, trust me, I get it. But so you said that the NFL was your big like your dream. Once you step foot on that football field, that was kind of the thing. And you have in your pinned post on Twitter, it's been there for like 5+ years, is that stat about how many high school players make it to the NCAA, how many NCAA players make it to the pros. How important has it been for you in your pathway to kind of put things into perspective and realize, hey, I'm already, at such a privileged point considering the fact that I even made it to any level of college football, and now to even have a chance to go to the pros, what has it been like kind of putting things in perspective for you?
I would say it's been surreal and super light. Every day I wake up and I'm just super thankful that I get to go train at Impact. I just get to play football for a living because, like, especially going into college, every freshman asks, like, oh, how is fall camp? How hard is it? Stuff like that. I'm like, fall camp is the greatest time of the year because that is like the closest you can get to playing pro football without it. Because you're not doing classes or anything. No one else is on campus. It's just you guys, your brothers playing football, and that's biggest part of it. Like, I just love playing football a lot, and I've always just wanted to make it my career, I should say.
Yeah. And you say, forming those relationships. Have there been any guys that you've, I mean, obviously you're close. You say those guys are like your brothers, but have there been any particular guys that have kind of stuck with you from your teams over the years that you've kind of maintained like a close relationship with and like talked throughout this journey that I'm sure a lot of them aren't necessarily experiencing with you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I still have my group chat from all my Albion boys, and we talk every day. Especially like me and James Bloomfield. Who's my roommate at Albion, so he's one of my best friends. I would say at Northwood wise, I could name literally everyone on our
Yeah.
roster. Like, I'm cool with everyone. I love all my guys. I'd say Ricky Pearson. He's trained with me. He and Bimba Takura are also training at Impact with me from Northwood. So just getting to see them every day is awesome. And I'll say, yeah, I could literally just name every single one of my dudes. Like, I love them all.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's huge. And I mean, obviously they're not all making this jump with you. And this is a very big personal journey, but to have that kind of support system around you is huge. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about some like X's and O's stuff, some stuff on
For
tape, some
sure,
stuff in
yes.
general. Yeah. You kind of played in like, in your minimal games last season, you played in a lot of different spots. Like they kind of, you moved around a little bit. Is there anywhere that you particularly like playing the most? Do you like playing more up high and like as a free safety kind of center field kind of guy? Do you like playing down as like kind of lurking over the middle? Is it a too high safety kind of thing for you? Where's your ideal spot?
Ideal spot. So I've played free safety since getting to college, and especially with the Coach Sweeney, how our defense works, the free safety has a lot of freedom to do, and it just like you work off of football instincts with the calls that you can make. And then once I got more into the system of like learning the entire defense and being a 3D player is what we call it, knowing not just your position but everyone else's and like the down to distance and stuff like that, just being able to play free and just using my football instincts to go to the ball and make a play.
Yeah. So
My favorite part, I should say. Especially when like I just be like when we're like cover one, I just get to be a robber and just like work off the quarterback and just go do my thing, like full confidence doing that.
yeah, I mean, some of my favorite stuff, like because, obviously been a little bit busy, but being able to turn on some of your film and kind of flip through some things. I think some of my favorite times watching your stuff is when you're playing that robber role and kind of just being able to work off your instincts and play over the middle of the field. I mean, and you've got your 23 highlights posted as well. And a lot of it's flying from sideline to sideline, laying a hit or just kind of using that ability in space. And that was the stuff that I kind of wanted to see where you kind of landed on it because it shows your love for that kind of part
Yeah.
of the game.
And I would say a big part is just like just being around the football a lot.
Yeah.
Being like our linebackers coach would always be like Coach Martinez, he would say, just be greedy. Like, you want to be the one to make the tackle. And I have that mentality. I've read Ray Lewis's autobiography so many times, and he was just like, we might not win another game this season, but I'm gonna lead the team in tackles. And that's the kind of mentality I want, because the more you're around the ball, the more plays you can make.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you that because, obviously playing a safety role and a free safety role, a lot of teams in the NFL run a lot of too high stuff. It's a lot of, trying to take the top off these explosive offenses, not allowing them to kind of go deep. And what makes that like it puts an emphasis on run support because, if you're taking somebody out of the box, it's going to be a lot more difficult to stop the run, especially against these teams that feel comfortable, bulking up against lighter boxes. I was going to ask you specifically, what kind of is that mentality for you when you come down and run support? Is it just like trying to read things out, or, you say like being as close to the football as possible? Like, how do you kind of navigate that?
I would just say it's like a no fear mentality. Like obviously getting a one-on-one in open space, it's hard for a defender, because especially if you get in a midline tackle where like you both are head up, they can go either which way, and you just gotta, rely on your instincts, sink to the level of your training, and just have full confidence in yourself, I should say.
Yeah. I gotta ask, because we're bringing up a lot of your actual playing career, like working into this NFL
Mhm.
role. Are there any NFL guys that you've kind of developed, like even when you were a kid, that you kind of developed, like, hey, here's a guy that I want to study more often, or here's a guy I enjoy watching? Are there any of those guys that you kind of like, I want to turn on some NFL film, this is the guy I'm looking at?
Yeah. So like currently right now, my favorite player in the NFL is Buda Baker, safety for the Cardinals, because he just like he flies around with no regard for his body. He's a smart football player too, making
Yeah.
plays. And I would say one big thing that stood out to me, like I'm a big Tyrann Mathieu fan. When he was on the Cardinals, and I just remember this first play. It was his rookie year. They were playing at the St. Louis Rams. Jared Cook had an over route, caught it, and he was gone. And you see all the other defenders like fading off, and then he comes out of nowhere, punches the ball at like the 1 yard line. Carlos Dansby jumps on it. The Cardinals get the ball, and just like having that like never give up mentality. It stuck with me ever since seeing that play in like 2013, 2014. It just like
Yeah.
always never giving up on any play, something like that. So
Yeah, and I mean, I think at your position, when you really are most of the time the back line of defense, I mean, that's obviously extremely important. I'm going to ask you about another player, or at least a small thing that I saw, kind of scrolling your socials. You're using a lot of the two spoon swagoo hashtag with
yes,
DJ Swearinger, and I was
yes,
wondering, is
love
that a
DJ
player that you kind of
Swearinger.
liked it or liked to watch in your back when he was
Yeah,
playing?
yeah. So because he bounced around a lot of teams, and my favorite team growing up was the Arizona Cardinals, because that's where my dad's from. And so when he was on the Cardinals, like I loved him so much. Like he always had a lot of big hits, making plays on the ball. And then when he did his two spoon celebration, I saw that and I was like, damn, like I need to start doing that. So high school, I started doing it. We get to college, I still do it. I have a two spoons tattoo on my tricep right
Nice.
there. I remember when I first got it, because it like kind of became my thing too, just because of him. I DM'd him on Instagram, but like not thinking he would ever respond. So he's like, "Hey, dude, like I've been watching you forever. I do the two spoon celebration because I got this tattoo and all that." And when he actually responded, I was like, "Holy shit! Like this is crazy." So I love him for sure. Made a
Of
big impact
course.
on my life.
Yeah, no, I had to ask because I saw like so many of the posts, and now knowing about the tattoos, I'm like, I mean,
Yeah.
awesome player, and like somebody who kind of like, when I saw it and like I was like, I remember that's associated with somebody, and I clicked on the
Yep.
hashtag and I was like, that's who it is. And then I was like, wow, that brought back so many memories. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was always like for you, a lot of those like big hitting, ball hawking, flying safeties for you.
Mhm. Yeah. I would say
Yeah.
like all time, like Sean Taylor is probably my favorite football player of all time
Oh, of
for sure.
course. And
Loved
yeah,
him.
and you mentioned Buda Baker earlier. I mean, there's nothing better than turning on some of his tape and just watching like how he comes down out of like, they'll
Yeah.
play him too high in the nickel, down in the box like a linebacker, and
Yeah.
no matter what they do, he comes down and he makes a play. And I think
Mhm.
that's what makes Buda so fun. And like you said earlier, career Tyrann Mathieu, I think those two players are actually a lot more similar nowadays, looking at current Buda Baker and
Mhm.
a younger Tyrann when he was playing more heavy down in the box stuff.
Yeah.
But um I gotta ask, because we got connected through Greg, and he
Mhm. Yep.
is the same agent for Tyson Bagent, who kind of outlined a way of getting to the NFL for D2 athletes. He came from
Mhm.
Shepherd, was like the all-time Division
A
two
dog.
passing yards leader. Yeah, a
Yeah.
dog at Shepherd. And I was just wondering, like, how's it been kind of working with Greg and being with somebody that kind of understands the path for you, coming from a bit of an underdog perspective?
Oh, well, Greg's the man, first off. He is a dog. I love him. Everything that he's done for me, I'm super thankful for him. And, I have to, shout out Steeler Leap. He's the one that got me connected with Greg, because they're like family friends, stuff like that. So he got me connected with Greg back in May. And then, we talked throughout the season. Then obviously with my injury, only playing 4 games, I was like, this is not looking good. But he stuck with me through it all. He has full confidence in me. So I just got to go make it happen and hold up my end of the bargain for sure.
Yeah, of course. I mean, fantastic guy. Got to meet him down, like talk to him a bunch when, Tyson was down in Mobile for the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of developed a relationship through that, and he's just a phenomenal guy. And along with that, it was fantastic talking to you. Those were kind of my main questions, but I do have to ask one more question. For
Mm-hmm.
somebody who isn't turning on the tape, who doesn't, who isn't watching your film, you have to break down Stephen Douglas in a few, short sentences. What kind of player are you?
What kind of player am I? That's a great question. I would just say I fly around to the football and I just love the game.
Of course. No, I mean, it's that simple. And
Yeah.
it shows up time and time again on your tape. You look at any of your socials and it's all football. And I think that's one of the more exciting things about being able to look at some of the, looking at people like you, kind of uncovering more of just the story. I would have never known about the tattoo if I didn't have the chance to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that I love. So I just wanted to say thank you personally for, coming on. Really enjoyed talking to you. What are you kind of working on? I mean, you kind of said that you're moving more towards combine style and pro day drills. What's coming in the future for you?
I would say so March 10th is my pro day. I got in at Western Michigan University with 4 other Northwood guys. So thankful for Coach B for getting us hooked up with that, gaining, to show my stuff out in front of all 32 teams that are there. I'd say biggest thing is just just taking day by day. Obviously, if you have a bad day, your numbers aren't, where you want them to be. All you can do is worry about that next rep, have a one play mentality in a combine drill wise, even though you're not on the football field. Because right now, biggest thing that Jim told us, we're not really practicing football right now. We're practicing 4 combine drills and stuff like that. So you just got to learn all the techniques and just go balls to the wall and, let it rip for real.
Of course. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
No, for sure. It's been awesome.